All right, this is question number 27 for the practice final. In this case, we have several variables and letters that are being powered and will be given the power of negative 1/3. Okay. In this case, we're going to give the negative 1/3 to everything we see here. Before we do this, though, I want to look at that 8. This 8 is actually what number? Well, if you think about it, the basis of 8 is 2, and there are 3 of them. Because that would be 2 times 2 times 2 would be 8. So I'm going to do that real quick, because when we bring the negative 1/3 in, it's going to be a little easier to deal with all those fractional powers. The other thing is, this 1, we're going to say is negative 1 by itself. Okay? 27, x negative 3, and y 6. All with a negative 1/3. You're probably wondering why I said the negative 1 on the outside. Well, the 1/3 is important here. If that 1/3 was 1/2, there is no even root of a negative 1, right? That's an imaginary number, so we can't deal with that. Because this is 1/3, or just an odd power, this is going to keep that negative 1 without any issue. So we're going to go ahead and distribute the negative 1/3. So we end up with negative 1 to the negative 1/3 power, 2, 3 times negative 1/3, w 27 times negative 1/3, x negative 3 times negative 1/3, and y 6 times negative 1/3. All right, so each of these are going to process. The first one is, well, negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 is just negative 1 to a negative 1 power. Nothing happens, essentially. Next one, our 3's will cancel, leaving us with 2 to the power of negative 1. 3 goes into 27 9 times, so we end up with w negative 9. Next one, 3 and 3 cancel, so we end up with x positive 1. And then we have y, 6 and 3 makes a 2, negative 2. So every part of this that is a negative is going to go to the bottom of a fraction. So we're going to make a fraction, and we're going to put all the negatives on the bottom and the positives up top, because all of them are by default if there is no fraction written in a numerator. So in this case, we're going to put a negative 1 on the denominator, a 2 to the first, technically this is negative 1 to the first, w to the 9, and y to the 2. Notice that each case they become positive numbers. And then on top we just have an x. Now if we have a negative 1 in the denominator, what really happens to it? Well, it goes up top, so we're going to go ahead and move it. Or how the question has it, it's going to say negative up front, x over 2 w9 y2. And that's going to be the answer for the final. Real quick, we're going to go over why the negatives move around. So let's say we just end up with the w negative 9, and we're going to have a negative on the bottom, and our x. Looking at this, we have two problems here. One, we have the w9, right? So with the w9, we're going to multiply the numerator by w positive 9 and the denominator by w positive 9. Since we have that negative 1, we're going to multiply the top by negative 1 and the bottom by negative 1. Let's look at what happens because we do that. The negatives will cancel, leaving a negative on the top. The 9's will cancel, leaving us with just x on top. And the only thing left on the bottom is w9. So this is the reason why that process works for our answer, negative x over 2w9y2.